Not everybody? Yeah. Well, I think we've got most of the governors here who are going to join us. I'm Jim Douglas from Vermont. Vice Chairman Joe Manchin from West Virginia is with me, along with a number of our gubernatorial colleagues. We've just come from our annual meeting with the President and Vice President and a number of members of his cabinet to talk about issues of importance to the states and to the American people. We covered a wide variety of issues. Oops. Okay. Well, yes.
Was everything still working?
Test.
Never sounded better.
Got the clog out of it.
We talked about a wide variety of issues, including education reforms that the President is putting forth, his new health care initiatives, jobs, and getting the American economy back on track so that so many Americans who have been out of work can be on the road to recovery and prosperity. We also talked a lot about how the National Governors Association works on a bipartisan basis, much in contrast to the partisan gridlock that we so often see on Capitol Hill. The governors of America are prepared to work with the administration and Congress to design reforms that will work for the American people. Governors, after all, have to get things done. We have to make tough decisions, establish priorities. We have to balance budgets. We have to get the job done for the people we represent. I think based on what we've seen over the last couple of days, there's a spirit of commitment, of dedication, of bipartisanship among the nation's governors that can serve as an inspiration to the policymakers in Washington. And we look forward, we're ready, we're willing, we're able to do whatever we can to advance the American people's agenda. Joe?
Let me just say that to reiterate what Jim just said, that we do work well together, and this is a spirit of cooperation. But the bipartisanship is still where it happens in the National Governors Association. We're still committed to health care. We have to have reforms. Each state is running double-digit inflation in health care, and we've got to get a handle on that. The approach to education that this administration, under the President and Arne Duncan, taking to change and transform education to also be able to compete in the 21st century. Michelle Obama, as far as the healthy lifestyles, we have to have a healthy, educated workforce. Most importantly, we have to have a jobs market, and that's a private sector jobs market that's going to be stimulated. So the partnership that we create, and a partnership that basically continues in America, starts with the states, working with our partners in the federal government. We appreciate it. It's been a wonderful dialogue, open, uncensored, if you will, and it's been very productive. So,
Governor, it's estimated that the states are running cumulative deficits of about $350 billion through 2011. How much of that do you hope to close with aid from the White House?
Well, it'll be a very small portion. The jobs package that's being considered in Congress may be about $25 billion, but that's a very small percentage of what is going to have to be addressed at the state level. Governors across America have already made some tough choices. We've closed deficits that are about 80 or 90 billion dollars cumulatively already, and we have a substantial amount to go. So even with some additional assistance, and most governors are certainly hoping that some will be forthcoming, we're going to have to make some tough calls. We're going to have to make some priorities, balance budgets, make some difficult choices.
When we talk about flexibility, I think, following up what Jim said, you hear governors talk about flexibility all the time. The flexibility means to give us the ability to move in the parameters that you set so that we can continue, because we have to balance budgets. So we'll make the adjustments if we have the flexibility to work within the framework.
The stimulus has given about $112 billion, but you're talking about a gap more than 3 times as big. Specifically, tell us how you're going to do it.
Well, I didn't want to challenge your number, but the National Governors Association survey of states has come up with a number that's in the $130 or $40 billion range over the next few years, but still a lot more than we're likely to get from the FMAP enhancement if one is forthcoming. So what we have to do first and foremost is get the economy moving again, to get more jobs created so that people are able to work, pay taxes, and help us build a robust economy that'll close those gaps. But in the meantime, governors are going to have to continue to make some very difficult choices.
On health care reform, do you feel better now that the President has put forward a proposal that treats all states equally when it comes to Medicaid funding?
Absolutely. Now, we feel very strongly about that, and I think we all spoke out about it very loud and clear. And the governor and the President has heard, and I think we'll see his plan be forthcoming, and it will be his plan, and it's something that hopefully we can all be behind.
waivers like the kind you have in Vermont, Governor?
Well, frankly, states want flexibility. You know, the American states are very different. One size doesn't fit all. We've got very different statuses of health care reform. We've got different demographics around various parts of the country. So what we would like to see is flexibility and, frankly, less need to go to the federal government for waivers, which is often a very onerous process. One of our colleagues spoke up about that in the meeting we just had, about the time it takes to get through the waiver process. So I think more flexibility is going to be a key to success.
Governor Chris, this past week we heard a number of legislators in the Republican Party say that there's been no jobs created, literally no jobs created by the stimulus. Is that an accurate assessment of what's happened in your state?
No, it's not the case in Florida. We accepted the stimulus money. All of my fellow governors did. I think it was the responsible and right thing to do for the people, and it puts people above politics. In Florida alone, for example, it created or maintained at least 87,000 jobs. 27,000 of those jobs are educators and teachers throughout our state. I dare say what the impact would have on the students if those teachers were out of work, unable to put bread on the table for their families. This is necessary, and it relates to job creation. We've got to do everything humanly possible to continue to push this economy forward, to help the people, to do what's right for them, to put partisanship aside, and make sure that the people do come first. It was Abraham Lincoln himself who said that government should be of the people, by the people, for the people. We've got to get back to that. This town certainly has to get back to that and make sure that we put the people first before the political bickering. And that's what the people in our country want and in my state want, and they've gotten.
Why would people be saying that, though, if you're reporting clearly that it's creating jobs in your state? Is that just a reflection of hyper politics in Washington?
Well, it's a political year, so you can suspect that that might be part of it. But again, it's really important that we focus on what matters to people in our states. In my state, we have 11.8% unemployment. I went to the state fair a couple of weeks ago. I ran into an old friend from Florida State University. He's an accounting major, a very bright guy, and he's been out of work for 15 months. We as governors understand that we have a duty. We took an oath to try to help the people and make sure we're doing everything to help them in this difficult, challenging economy that we're all facing. And that's what we're committed to in Florida. That's what each of these wonderful people behind me are committed to.
Governor Douglas, what's your perception of how the governors received the president's attempt to create a common education standard, and what are the prospects for something akin to a nationwide standard?
Well, the governors have been working for some time on a common core of standards, and I believe 48 states now have signed on to adopt that set. So it's something we believe strongly in. We've got to enhance the educational level and skill training of the American people if we're going to equip Americans to get the good jobs so they can contribute to our economic success. So we've been working on that as a National Governors Association for some time.
Looking back at the success of the stimulus package, there seems to be a sense that it really just allowed states to push back making hard decisions, and that it maybe wasn't such a great thing after all. Do you share that assessment? Think it's fair?
Well, it's a bridge. There's no question about it. Most economists believe that it's going to be 2, 3, maybe 4 years before state-level revenues are back to where they were at pre-recession levels. The stimulus funding doesn't last that long, so it'll help us for a while. But we still have to make the tough choices to balance our budgets. We have to put in place some strategies for job creation that will begin to get us on the road to recovery faster. So this is not the whole answer to states' fiscal crises. We just put out a report from NGA and the National Association of State Budget Officers, or NASBO, that talks about the shortfalls that states are going to be facing over the coming few years, and I'm sure you can get it online.
There's an awful lot of that money that's been out, that's coming out now. It's going to be going towards infrastructure. You're going to be seeing some projects state by state. I think it's going to make a big difference in the job market.
And many of us have actually cut our budgets in excess of whatever the bridge was from the Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which is something we should remember as well.
Yeah.
We in Florida have reduced our budget. When I got elected governor, we had a $73 billion budget. We slashed it by $7 billion. We're down to $66 billion, and the people want us to do that. We've also reduced our taxes. We have the largest property tax cut in the history of my state, and we have a balanced budget, just like all these people have to meet. So we understand that living well means living within your means, and that's what we're doing in Florida. That's what they're trying to do.
This is for any of the governors. I know that part of the proposal today, the Obama health care proposal, regards better regulating premium hikes. insurance rate premium hikes in different states? I know different states have different ways of going about it, whether it's pre-approval or after, but can anyone comment on how they think that might work or the challenges that it might present?
Well, traditionally,